So, what does my Eleanor and a Nintendo controller have in common? You're about to find out in this video. It's kind of interesting, guys, so stick around for this one. Well, good morning, folks. Another rainy day in paradise. You gotta love Pensacola. I guess that's just the way it's gonna be. Finally, I mean, this is just a slap in the face because that's the way it goes. Finally got the dumpster out of the driveway. Now, you guys may not have kept up on that because I don't think I put up a video on that, but I had a dumpster in the driveway because they replaced the roof on my house this week, and the dumpster's been sitting there for about a week. And when you tell the contractor to come get it, the contractor says, well, we gotta call the guy who moves the dumpster, and the dumpster guy says call the contractor, and you end up doing this kind of stuff and nobody gets a thing and it sits there for a week. Anyway, Ruby's transmission needs to be replaced, but I can't do that in the rain. It's kind of a cold, just dreary morning, and I guess it's just the way it's going to be. But you can consider this today the first video of Eleanor in 2024, because she's there in the garage, and I've been working on her during the rain. Now, you might say, how do you have Eleanor out in the rain? Well, I don't. I've actually been working on her circuit board, and I'll put it up here on the screen. What it is it's essentially a computer that does all the same things like the Christine movie car or the Herbie car would do. Allows lights to turn on and off, horn, essentially automated everything in the car. It also allows me to plug in all the factory switches into the computer and control everything from there. So essentially there's a little computer that is the heart of the machine. Everything will plug into it and everything will operate out of it. Coincidentally, from the same era that most of our Volkswagens were built, I'm designing around a technology from the late 60s and 70s known as digital shift registers. There are other more modern technologies available, but this is bulletproof, cost-effective, and it's what I wanted to use. You might be saying, hey, what's a shift register? Simply put, it's an integrated circuit chip with multiple inputs or outputs. Now let me describe them by demonstrating something familiar. The original Nintendo Entertainment System controller. It actually contained a shift register chip, and upon a certain timed interval, the chip would take a snapshot of which of the 8 buttons that were being pressed or not, and send that data back to the CPU to be interpreted. Each of the buttons are digitally assigned a 1 or a 0 and sent to the CPU in a specific order. In this case, we'll consider 1 to be a press button and 0 to be unpressed. You may see this snapshotting setup as delayed and laggy, and yes, they are delayed, but the snapshots of the buttons occur faster than the human can interpret to the tune of milliseconds. And I'm sure you've never noticed Mario lagging into a pit for not responding to the controller presses. Oh! But instead of a Nintendo controller buttons, Eleanor's factory switches, or any other switches that I should choose, will be wired directly into this board containing these shift registers instead of directly to the lights. So Eleanor will drive and have the look and feel of a typical Volkswagen from that era. Sure, I could use the same chips from Nintendo controllers on Eleanor's board, and they're actually still available. And I'd even consider this for the nostalgia, but we will be going with newer modern components that are ultra reliable, less costly, and use less power. And power usage is a concern here as Eleanor does operate on a battery when not running. Now the CPU that I chose that will interpret the data produced by the input shift registers will be a simple and inexpensive Arduino-like setup, one that has Wi-Fi and a web server. Output shift registers will be routed from the board to a pair of off-the-shelf 16 relay project boards. That means I'll be able to operate 32 different things, and each relay will be wired into the factory wiring harness for the lighting, horn, and anything else that I'd like to add. Now perhaps even power windows, door locks? Yeah, we could add it right in there. And because it has Wi-Fi, this will allow me to switch on or off anything that I desire from my phone, tablet, or even my desktop computer. This Arduino can be easily swapped out with a pre-configured unit in spares in the event that this one does give up. It also means that I can develop custom programs into my wireless device to control a light show or some other automated demonstration of its capabilities. I can also easily pull out the computer and bring it inside for a firmware upgrade if I wish to make an improvement. All the software that runs on this Arduino will be developed by me, so it will need updates, and it will probably receive lots of them. There's lots and lots of room for upgrades and expandability here. Now that all sounds great, but these components need to be mounted to a printed circuit board. So I got to designing the board around these technologies. And I'm no stranger to etching printed circuit boards. Back in the 90s, I used to draw them in Photoshop and print them on a laser printer, then using a flat iron, heat the print out to a copper-clad board which the toner will stick to. Soak the board in some soapy water until the paper flakes off, then etch it in some ferric chloride which eats off all the copper where the printer toner didn't stick. And about 10 minutes later, you can drill out the holes and you have a circuit board ready to solder all your components onto. But nowadays, I can outsource all the messy chemicals to a shop to make the professional-grade consumer electronic quality board for half the price of a bottle of ferric chloride, let alone the other materials. No brainer here. So I'll be making a few more revisions to this board. Then I'll send the design off to be printed. I hope it all works out on the first try. I guess mistakes do happen. But the minimum order with most vendors is 5, so that means I'll have to pay for 5 mistakes to find out. Well, anyway, I guess we'll keep on designing. And essentially, that's what I've been working on. It's got a lot of hours into it, that's for sure. This thing is this thing's a lot of work. But anyway, it allows me to hook up 32 different switches to it. It allows me to have 32 outputs, so I can control each light individually. There's room for expansion, which is the reason why I have 32 switches. I mean, what car has 32 switches, to be honest? Most probably don't. But they add up pretty quickly. I mean, just think about it. Power window up, power window down. On 2 sides, that's 4 switches. You have your headlights is a switch, you know, your emergency flash is a switch, your turn signals is 2 switches, so I mean, we're already up to 8. And that's just simple stuff. Brake light switch is another switch. I mean, yeah, anyway, it adds up real quick. So that's the reason why I built 32 switches into it. Also room for future expansion because I want to add some custom lighting. I want to do something special to the car, something that the car doesn't have. We do a Christmas cruise here every year, and I want to have an integrated lights on the car that do not have to be removed every year, because every year I have to put the lights on Ruby. I put them on for like a day or 2. I hate doing it. This year I only put a wreath on the front, so I kind of took a shortcut. But when we did the Christmas cruise, I was one of the least decorated cars. Had a fun time otherwise though, but I guess that's really what counts. But anyway, I want to be able to just flip a switch and the car has lights. They don't necessarily have to be Christmas specific, but I want to have it dressed up, decked up somehow. I want it to be special because, well, that's what Eleanor is. But she's not coming out of the garage today because it's just a little too wet and dreary. So anyway, I guess we're going to wrap up for today. We do have a tech session coming up this weekend, so you can expect a January tech session video this week. It's probably going to be cold. We haven't had a cold tech session in well, quite a long time, because last year was so mild in the winter that I haven't had a cold tech session. It's just above freezing out here right now, which is odd for this part of the world because Florida, well, it doesn't get that cold here typically. Don't get me wrong, though, I mean, we do get winters, but it's just not like what I've experienced when I lived up north. And for those of you that are saying, well, it's cold where I'm at, I say it every year. Good for you. It's also hotter here, mostly, and more humidity than your summers, which is something else. So anyway, I guess we're going to wrap up for today because I'm kind of rambling on. So, like it, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to plug that thing about to get updates every time I upload a video. Check out DuckShit.net for all my different social media links. And we'll see you guys probably with a tech session over on my other channel on Monday. And I want to get some go-kart stuff up again. I haven't done anything with go-karts because, well, the weather's been putting me off, projects have been putting me off, cost and expensive things has been putting me off. I mean, just put a new roof on the house, you know, that's not cheap. Well, I guess that's it. So, thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.